This is a huge week for the stock market, and we need to talk about it. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education, and is it any wonder that Monday and mundane are so darn close in pronunciation? This Monday is anything except mundane because of the large week that we have in the markets. We have jobs data, big tech earnings, and the FOMC meeting all happening at once. I gotta say, it's probably going to be a wild ride, so buckle in and we're gonna take a look at the charts and the economic calendar, and we'll also talk a little bit about SoFi because they have their earnings out. Even though this is being recorded before their earnings call, we'll take a little tiny peek at what's going on with the stock and a little bit on the earnings preview that we have for them. So later on in this video, I'll tell you about where you can see my buys and sells, my options course, and about how you can learn to do technical analysis. In the meantime, I want to get right into the economic calendar that we have here. So go to the beginning of the week here. Dallas Fed manufacturing, not too bad. Some auctions that we have going on. Big thing comes up starting on Tuesday. We have JOLTS job openings. That's going to be huge because remember, the FOMC meeting is starting tomorrow. So that is something we absolutely want to keep our eyes on. That's going to be a major catalyst, 10 a.m. So all you day traders out there, expect some major volatility coming around this time. Maybe we have a run up to it and then a drop. Maybe we have a drop leading up to it and then we move up solidly from there. We're going to have to see. We also have consumer confidence, which usually hasn't been that much of a catalyst, but it's still most definitely worth watching. So let's scroll on from there into Wednesday. And Wednesday, we get ADP employment at 8:15 a.m. We also have some more employment information that happens at 8:30. And then if we scroll down beyond all of that, down here, 2 p.m., the Fed interest rate decision, 2:30, Jerome Powell comes out and speaks to us. Now, about this interest rate decision, it is not expected to have a cut right now. So something we need to be aware of is that no cut happens, no big deal. If we do get that 2% chance of a cut that we're looking for, if we get immediately surprised by that, the market's probably going to go a bit bonkers during that time. And honestly, it can go one of two ways. One, it can either skyrocket because we get those early cuts, which mind you, automotive, and then also solar stocks, those interest rate sensitive areas, Russell 2000, IWM, those would be ones to watch should we get that highly unexpected rate cut from the Fed in January. So those are interest rate sensitive areas. Tesla would be another one to pay attention to. That just, like I said, anything interest rate sensitive, should we get that surprise cut, that would be immediately a good thing for those stocks, I'm guessing. Now, the other thing that can happen is it could spook the markets as to why the Fed was so quick to do something unexpected, like cut a rate much sooner than expected. So this month, instead of March, would be what we'd be looking for the next meeting of, which is right now a coin flip. And that is also definitely worth talking about for March. Right now, coin flip, will January be the thing that flips the scales to a further pause going on in March? Or will January be the thing that leads to a sooner cut happening in March? That's the other thing that we want to listen for Jerome Powell himself speaking when he comes out and talks. What flavor will we get? How will it affect the bond market? How will it adjust the probabilities that we have for what exactly could happen with those rate cuts? So that is absolutely huge. We want to be watching for it. Challenger job cuts at 7:30 a.m. on Thursday. Initial jobless claims also big for us to watch. And let's scroll on from there. On Friday, we have our non-farm payrolls and our unemployment rate. Again, major market catalyst for us, and how we interpret those is going to be highly impacted by what we get on Wednesday from the Fed. We want to hear from them. We want to see what they're doing. Then we can update our perspective from there. I don't want to give too much commentary on that one in the meantime while waiting for that. And we also get the final measure for Michigan consumer sentiment for the month of January. So that wraps up what we have coming up for the week as far as economic catalysts. Now, big tech, we have AMD this week. We have Apple. We also have we have Apple, Microsoft, Google. Meta is also reporting. Just a big week. I'll get over to the charts. We'll take a look at all of them. So let's put up the SPY. We'll talk about big tech while we have the charts up there. I think that's going to be a much more solid approach for us. So pop this up. So right here's SPY, and you can see right now the path that we've been on. Still a bit of a rising wedge for us, still a path up to 500 that we're seeing right now. And then in here, we have just a minor trend line that you can see that we're traveling along. This yellow line that you see right here is 490, which we've retreated from. We didn't quite get there. So we need to break over 490. That round number resistance for us is going to be important to watch that break. That will give us the green light up to 500. It's going to take the economic catalyst. It's going to take the Fed, and it's also going to take big tech in order to get us there. So let's move over to QQQ, talking about tech. So for the Qs, Still a rising wedge pattern on this one. There is a bit of a bullish channel that's in the middle of that too, so that's something to watch out for. And when I talk about this, should we break that bullish channel and break down through this bottom trend line, that could be a fall for us. We are currently narrowing right now, and if we go down to the hourly level of this is also important for us to check out. And let me also adjust the view so it's easier for you guys to see what's going on this chart. There we go. You can see the trend lines that we've been skipping right along for resistance and what we have for support. You want to watch and see what trend line we break out of for this. That's going to be highly telling for the direction of QQQ. Like I said, this is the hourly chart that we're looking at here. Now, with that said, big tech we should go to. Apple is the first chart that I want to talk about, and let's drop this back to the daily chart. Again, another rising wedge pattern that we have for this one, and the earnings for Apple are being reported on the 1st of February, so that's coming up on Thursday in the after hours for us. If we go to Amazon, we actually popped out, just peekabooed out the top of its rising wedge pattern that we have here. Amazon's earnings are also Thursday in the after hours. Google has their earnings Tuesday in the after hours. That's also going to be something that we get to watch prior to the Fed making their announcement. I think that's going to be pretty huge for us. Meta also reporting. When do they have their earnings? They have their earnings the 1st of February, so Thursday also for them as well. Microsoft is closer to Google here. Microsoft is actually Tuesday in the after hours as well. So that is a lot of tech that we have reporting. And I believe AMD also reports this week. I think they are also Tuesday. We want to be watching for that as well. So for AMD, where they're at right now in the pre-market hours, right around 180. Where did they peak out on this one? This one is about 185. And the important thing about AMD, when we talk about AMD, is that it's the number 2 to NVIDIA. So NVIDIA has been on an absolute tear. AMD's been following on its footsteps, and basically we can't get enough of the NVIDIA chips out there. AMD, being the nearest competitor, is also getting a lot of the limelight right now. And AMD is a solid company, and to take a second place to NVIDIA doesn't really say a whole lot. NVIDIA is a rock star and a champion of a company. AMD also rock star and a champion of a company. They don't necessarily have that same first mover advantage that NVIDIA does, and so they're sort of in the shadows on that one. Now, mind you, just because they have a smaller stock price doesn't mean that they're worse off company, but it is one that we want to watch because they are ones known to innovate over time. In the AI race, as the AI and infrastructure race that AMD and NVIDIA are a part of, those two are just going to have to slug it out for a while. And so for the earnings that we have for each the big tech companies, I do want to say, if you looked across the charts, you'll notice that there was a run up to those earnings. And I said possibly we see that run up happening to those big tech earnings. It is possible that unless we get astounding results, that a lot of the highly expected earnings, the excellent earnings from big tech, are expected and priced in. And it is possible that we get a sell following those. So it is something that I'm going to be watching for each of the big tech companies. I don't know how much more upside they have to them with the earnings coming out. That's definitely something to watch. But if they have solid earnings, if they have a solid outlook and they fall anyway, then that's an indicator to us that a lot of that has already been priced in and now people are taking profits. So something we need to be watchful of for big tech is that we need to watch and see if the positive earnings have already been priced in, if there's the sell the news type of scenario, and what we might see from Google and from Microsoft on Tuesday, and possibly even from AMD on Tuesday in the after hours. Should we see those sell off, then we know that a lot of that's been priced in already, and that's highly impactful what we have for the indices themselves, especially the NASDAQ 100, which has the Magnificent Seven tech stocks in them, leading it by market cap. So we want to be watchful for those because, like I said, they're going to help to steer the direction of the markets. If you want to see my buys and sells, the link for the Patreon down in the description. And then also if you want to see my options course, that is part of that Patreon as well. And then also I have my Tesla stock price prediction, NVIDIA stock price prediction, and earnings projection over there. NVIDIA, I'll be updating this month, so be on the lookout for that to hit between now and January the 31st. And so that is just within the next 2 to 3 days here, gonna have that up and running, so that way when NVIDIA earnings hit, we're ready for them. And if you want to learn to do technical analysis like I do, grab that link down in the description for the technical analysis course. Use the coupon code TRADE trade for massive savings on that. There are hours of video, practice testing, lifetime access to the course, and there's also lifetime access to the Discord server that's also attached to it, live teaching lessons. I'm over there, Stockmo's over there. It's a wonderful place to go and talk and learn and share your results and get feedback on what it is that you're doing with your trading, see how it's going, and just improve over time towards, as Stockmo would say, taking that whole loaf. So let me wrap up this video here for you. So what do we have coming up for the markets? The markets are still looking pretty bullish right now. Big tech is going to be highly influential in that. The jobs reports that we get are also going to be highly impactful, especially those released before the Fed meeting. Like JOLTS is a big one that we want to be watching for tomorrow, and that's at 10 a.m. So be watchful for that FOMC meeting right around that 1 o'clock hour prior to the release of that. Expect the markets to kind of go haywire for a little bit. If they're already way up leading to that point, expect them to pull back pretty heavily up until 1:30 or that 2 o'clock hour, and then possibly some more volatility around the time that Jerome Powell speaks at 2:30. So just be watchful for that in the markets. If you're a day trader out there, sometimes you can take significant advantage of that sort of volatility coming into it, because a lot of times you get a single direction pulled for quite a while. Anyway, moving on from there into big tech, we need to see if those earnings are priced in or if we're going to go to the moon from the prices that we're at right now. If we do, well, then that's going to pull the indices up with it. If it's one that we start to sell the news, then that's also something that could be reasonable given the run up that we've seen in big tech during this time. I'm going to talk about SoFi just real quick because I said that I would. SoFi in the pre-market hours here, it is currently all over the place. So let me just pop that up there for you. There we are. Take a look at that. So since SoFi, this is the 1 hour chart that we're looking at. And in that hour that they released those results, this thing has gone all the way down to about 754 and all the way up to about 859. It's going to be an interesting day for us watching SoFi. So 2 cents that they have for GAAP EPS. So they have gone profitable as expected, and so that is a good thing. But now you're watching to see what's happening with this. So for some of those positive earnings priced in already, I think that it's going to be a good day for SoFi. We're going to have to be watching it, and it will be affected by the overall indices, so we'll be watchful for that as well. If it's a good day in the markets and also good results for SoFi, we'll see how those earnings are interpreted. But for SoFi stock, check this thing out on the daily chart here just to see where we're positioned at. There we go. And we'll reset the view here so you can see a lot of what's going on, that we're actually down below the 50 and the 200 day, which is a bearish thing, pulling back up above that. Should we go back up above $8, which right now in the pre-market hours, we're at the 50-period EMA from Friday's close. We want to be watchful for that one as well. But back up above the 200 is a bullish thing for SoFi, and we can actually have quite a run following that. So we want to be watchful for what exactly happens. So I do have a strangle play out on this one right now. We'll see how that goes. I have some calls, I have some puts, but then I also have some longer term calls that are out there for longer term bullishness that I have for SoFi. So we'll see the results that we get for SoFi. I'm pretty excited about it. I'll let you guys go. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see my buys and sells, get that link for the Patreon down in the description. Also, if you want to learn about technical analysis and up your trading game, use the coupon code TRADE with that link down in the description for the technical analysis course. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.